Oh, hey, we're back. We really are. We honestly are. I got a few different team members this time. I gotta start paying more attention to the monitors around here. It's been a pretty long day so far, but you guys might recognize a couple of us. I'm Jimmy Wisenhunt. I am sitting next to
Tim Lochner.
What's your Twitter, man?
My Twitter.
Tell us what you do.
Oh, I'm a tools programmer at tlock14.
And your Twitter? At tlock1.
That's what it is.
Oh,
tlock14.
I thought that was the end of it.
No, at
Okay.
tlock14.
All right. And Steve George, once again, a producer on the project.
I am the producer. My Twitter is at Sony Shock. Make my phone vibrate, you guys. Come on.
And once again, we have a couple others here. Tom Shank was on the original stream with us.
Hi there.
Let people know who you are and what you do here.
Tom Shank, I'm the technical director, code wrangler, lead of the code team, what you want to call it. That's kind of the way it works. And my Twitter handle is at TomSlick42. You can tweet at me all you want. I might read it, if you're nice.
Yeah. He'll probably answer in some like smart code fancy way.
I'll try to Englishize it.
English, just respond in binary.
That worked,
Take
right?
like 17 messages.
Yeah.
All right, and?
My name's Scott Grotman. I'm a senior software engineer. I have a Twitter account, but you have to learn how to spell my last name first, and that's a bit of a trick.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out how to pronounce it. It's like my last name. People mess it up all the time.
Twitter at the end.
Yeah, that's right. We don't have to go through all that stuff. But we're still here answering some... Oh, go ahead.
No.
Do you have something?
No, not
You
yet.
sure?
I'm positive.
All right. Well, make sure you're still tweeting those questions to H1Z1 Design. We have some people, actually some new people here in the office with some questions, I think. Just tell us your name and your question, sir.
Jared Fruit, Senor Blanco on Twitter, if you want to find me.
I like it.
So I guess, I know that this is very in the early inception of the game, but I always look long term. How is this game continue, and how are you going to continue to feed the community with new content? What's the goal? I mean, I know a lot of this is new, but where is it going to go from here? Where are we going to see this expand? Are you just going to dump the world on us and say, have at it and discover stuff, or are we going to see stuff coming from SOE on this?
This will very much be an iterative process. Like, we're going to keep, we've explained it before, we're kind of growing out from the initial area we are now, which is kind of the Anywhere America. Almost feels like the town I grew up in. I know a couple of the guys around here know that area very well, where it's just, a bunch of trees, towns, not much going on. And then from there, we're going to grow out to where we will provide new content there. It's not just like, here's a world, same objects, have at it. It's very much going to be, this new area provides some new challenges and also some new ways to overcome the old obstacles, like new weapons or whatever.
Yeah. Keep some in mind. This is Sony Online Entertainment. This is what we do. We're able to put out these games, control them, build them into a very large, playable product. So, and we've been doing it for years. That's a start. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
They expect same support that we've seen out of other games. I mean, and more, because honestly, with this game, we're not just throwing in new raids and things. We're throwing in, new parts of the world completely, like whole new areas that'd be hopefully vastly different.
The positive thing of this is, since we're letting users interact with us and kind of help guide the development, is that really everything we put out is going to be thumbs up, hopefully, because everybody's asking for it, and we're giving you exactly what you want. So, I use this example a lot. It's like, hey, we give you a dinner plate and you eat the meat and throw everything else away. Well, we're trying to avoid that. We want you to eat everything we put out there and enjoy it.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I get that hardcore survival, permadeath. What does that mean for the player? I die a lot.
Sure.
So what does that mean for me? Like, what, do I start with character creation again, and then do I get put somewhere just random in the world, or is there like a spawn point?
Right now,
Or
you
was it-
randomly show up again, and you start out with a new random set of whatever the startup equipment is defined as. So the progression in the game isn't so much like a long-term one-character type thing. The progression is more a personal learning the systems, getting better at the game. It's if you've played a roguelike like FTL or Rogue Legacy or those type of games, it's really an iterative process where the reward is getting better at the game and understanding how to perform well.
And given the persistence of our maps, you can kind of save some of your progress by, putting, if you stash some of your items away somewhere where no one else is going to find it, you can kind of save part of your character's progress by going back to those items again after you die.
Assuming nobody else does.
Yeah,
assuming no one else does.
Gets to it first, so
It then belongs to the world.
There's so there's some risk associated with that, but it at least allows you, a chance to kind of mitigate loss when you're dying and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have world containers in the world. When you play the game, you'll see them. You can open up cabinets and look for stuff. You can put stuff in those things too, and if nobody else comes by to get it out, you could come by in another character life and pick up the same items.
Just heard Mitch was doing that. I hadn't had any idea.
Squirrel things
Yeah.
away and hope nobody discovers it.
All Have we got any other from the office? Hey, what's going on?
Hi, I'm Aaron. One thing that I don't like about most survival games is KOS, kill on site. Is there something that's going to prevent that to make it more, make people work together more?
I don't think we ever, Tom actually is a big proponent of never using the word like force. You never want to force someone to do something.
It's not really a good thing to do.
We don't want to prevent anyone really from any action other than hacking. But realistically, that possibility will always be there. I think there are ways to encourage players to work together more. I mean, we talked about this actually a couple times so far from some of the questions where as long as the PvE, at least our hopes are, as long as the PvE is difficult enough and requires a certain degree of teamwork, that a new player will be seen as an opportunity to like teach this guy what needs to happen, or at least incentivize once again this new guy to go run through that horde of zombies, and if you just promise him a reward if he survives or something, right? So he's helping you, somewhat synergistic. Who knows? We'll have to see how that plays out.
And a big part of these games is the tension you get from not knowing how other players are going to react.
Yeah.
The whole game is really about building tension and putting a lot of weight in your character and not wanting to die because the cost is high.
Yeah.
So you don't want to water down those moments when you're really wondering what's the best thing to do here. Should I hit this guy in the head with the axe or should I cooperate? And you're making those decisions all the time.
Yeah, that's the moment when the zombie comes back behind you and just you decide maybe you'll hit the zombie instead of that guy in front of you.
Yeah.
So something I've noticed too is during our play sessions is the first few days it's just a kill fest. Everybody's just shooting each other, being obnoxious. And then as time went on, people gradually, like, let's do some other stuff. And then there's still the killers, Ryan, if you can hear me, that hang on like they gang people. But then there's a lot of people working together. 4 of us jump in a Jeep, we travel around, we scavenger for loot. It turns into a really interesting world. Not everybody is going to be ganking people. There will always be that crowd, but there's also going to be the crowd that teams up and, 4 to 5s.
And keep in mind too, I don't know how familiar you are with like the VoIP system that we're planning on using. It's all going to be proximity, and a lot of it is on the player to try to humanize yourself before they shoot you in the face, right? Like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm new to the game. Bang, that might happen, but who knows?
So there's going to be Jeeps and cars and stuff, right?
Correct.
So do you have to scavenge gas, or is it like unlimited? Or
Right now, you can just drive and drive and drive. But,
So it's unlimited?
yeah, but definitely cars should be, to maintain a car should be a very difficult thing. We don't want everybody running around in a Jeep. And the number of Jeeps just in the world will be limited to some probably pretty small number. And when you walk up to it the first time, it won't have gas. It may be broken in several ways that you have to go find resources, craft items, repair the Jeep. Running the Jeep is going to cause it durability loss, and you're going to use up your fuel. You're going to have to find solutions to those problems. So it's not going to be jumping the Jeep and you're now God, which is kind of what it is right now. You're just running over everybody. Maintaining a Jeep will be an involved process.
Yeah, so there's actually corn in our game, which is very important crafting item, because from corn you can make what? Ethanol, right? So yeah, we're gonna let people craft their own ethanol for the Jeep, hopefully.
Yeah.
Whiskey too, right?
What's that?
Whiskey as well.
Oh, of course.
That's been brought up several times, by the president of our company, as a matter of fact.
One of the key things is that balancing things in a game is very important, and one of the hard things to do is to throw 15 different new things in and try and balance those things all together. So what you do is you take the vehicles and you add fuel to it and make sure the fuel balances well, put then the repair in after that. And so there's a set of stages you have to go through to get there.
Yeah.
My name is Giovanni. Some of you guys out there might know me as Viz Gaming. I wanted to say hi to my community. And on top of that, I have a quick question, or actually it's a pretty broad question, so feel free to answer it however you feel. As far as the servers, is there going to be one server that everybody's going to play on and it's going to be a massive map? Or is it going to be something where there's individuals that you can pick when you get in? You say, I want to go to this server, play with my friends. And if it is one server, then would your friends be accessible if you guys have to do it like different tiers and stuff?
Well, we're starting out with groups of servers. So you have a server that's got large numbers of people, hundreds of some sort or thousands, depending on how we set that up, at least as a potential. And as we expand the world out, those servers will get larger and larger and larger. A lot of times, as the game itself grows, what you do is you end up adding more and more servers. In our case, we're growing the world, and so we're adding more people to the server, is the way we're working that out. So it's kind of a different mechanic from what you've seen in the past. We're a massive company, and MMO is lots of people on one server. So we want to go that way. But we also talked about having those user servers, player servers, and that involves the community and getting what kind of rule set they would like. And if there's enough people moving in different directions for the rule sets, we'll end up with several different rule sets perhaps. that people will be playing, right? Because that's what they want and that's what they play.
Hi, I'm May. Just a quick question. Is there like a climate change that happens in the world, and is your character vulnerable to those climate changes?
We've talked about that.
There's a lot of discussion on that. I mean, we currently have rain. We have our day-night cycles. We have we're working on cold, right? And yeah, even things. There's a lot of talk about things like natural disasters and stuff, which aren't in the initial plan, but that's all on our big wish list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something we want. I mean, that's a big part of it is wet plus cold, a bigger deal than wet and humid, right?
Hi, my name is Louis, and my question is, I guess, is there going to be an easy way to report people that, I guess, use exploits like wall breaching and things like that? Like when they get behind an object in the game that you're not supposed to. And if there is going to be a way, can it be used by Sony recording and then send it to you guys, tweet it to you guys or something to kind of show the exploits or the people that are exploiting?
We have a lot of information that we store internally on the server, and so having a simple command like you can enter in chat or something that can send us a report saying there's something going on here is generally all we need to try and track those things down. Because we can go and look at our logs, sometimes live, sometimes shortly or shortly thereafter, to try and figure out what people are doing and deciding from there, right? That's the way it works. Other than that, we don't really talk about the way we deal with exploits.
All right.
Anyone else? Yeah. I was going to say, we got Reddit too, if you guys...
Well, that actually brings me to another point. I know I don't want to paint you into a corner, but how soon will we see an active forum or an active website where we can go and see all this videos put together instead of going to Reddit and reading 9,000 people's opinions that I don't really care about? I want to hear the important parts.
Well, I mean, are you talking about just somewhere as...
like official forums and such, right? Yeah.
Okay.
As soon as we get to that...
Or just a web, part connected to H1Z1.
As soon as we get to that launch portion.
Even all these live streams that we're seeing, that, we can
have
a chance to check that.
I think as soon as we get to the point where we're going to do the early release, you'll see all that stuff come online, forums, the website, everything. There are, on YouTube, we have a channel, I don't know it off the top of my head, if any of you guys do know it, where all this stuff is being recorded and for replay use.
Hey, Radar, what's our YouTube channel?
YouTube channel, H1Z1.
Oh, it's just H1Z1.
Easy.
How did we get that? Awesome.
Perfect. And then getting into the game, when it comes to, it's semi-hyper-realistic of how that's going to go, but are we still going to have things like friends lists, or when we log into a game, are we going to easily be able to get to our friends that are on there to make it more community-based where we're still able to work together instead of, I'm 300 miles away, I'll get to you there at some point?
Right. Once again, the good news is we're built on the backbone of PlanetSide 2, right? So we have all these social features that are there. They're not being used currently. Tim and some of these other guys, I don't know how familiar you guys are with those particular social systems and tying them into our game, but it can be done. I think a lot of it's come down to what can we do without breaking immersion, without causing any sort of issues with gameplay. We've all had the discussion of, we do, for the most part as a team, think that the traveling portion from you spawn in, getting to your friend, usually comes out with some of the best stories, and that is a big part of the game, and how much we'd want to help a player we're still talking about.
But there are some days
issues there too. If you're having a big fight over some territory against another group of players, and we make it easy for you to jump right to your friends, then you've got more of a deathmatch style, just respawning right back in the fray. So there's a lot to think about before we made it too easy to get right up next to your friends again.
I think we all agree, though, that spawning from your friend at the opposite corner of the map is probably the worst thing in the world, unless you actually choose that. That's potentially an option as well. We actually talked about at one point, I think, with the hardcore, people were saying we really want a hardcore mode. I was like, fine, we'll just give you 10 health and a gun with 1 bullet. Have fun.
That's your last resort bullet, right? By the way.
It's whatever you find, right? That's the whole point, and that's another way to play the game as well. We talked about different scenarios like that as well.
The good news is we develop the base of the game, right? All this stuff is really easy to tune. As long as we have the support for all of it already built.
Right.
Any other questions?
Well, Viz introduced himself, I guess I should do. I'm Era Gaming on Twitch. And my question actually is, so we're going to be seeing barricades, potentially. What about, can we do something like, if we have furniture in the room, can we shove it against the door to try to, barricade that way? Is stuff interactable in that kind of way?
That's kind of a physics issue to deal with, and we haven't determined all of the things we want to do. Those are things, we build up. We're talking about the barricade thing right now is one of the things we're doing today. And that's just like the first step, and beyond that is how does it interact with the physics world, making sure that it works well for everybody, and it isn't really exploitable in some ways. You know, because you can barricade yourself into a house, and people pile stuff outside. That's not fun, necessarily. It could be part of your fun, but that's not really
fun
the
for
most
everyone
fun.
outside.
It would probably, yes. And maybe people on the YouTube channel, they're watching it, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. Would it be possible to see like crops be affected by animals, like cows for manure and rabbits to eat your crops?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're growing some corn, maybe another animal might come and just munch it.
Some crows.
That's very possible with our behavior system we have in the game.
Then we have a great use for that 22 lever action.
Yeah.
It's like rabbit hunting.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the barbed wire. Make corn, put barbed wire around it.
Yeah.
You're set.
You have a whole bunch of dead zombies around your corner.
Yeah.
Scarecrows or zombies.
Right now it does.
The barbed wire will explode the rabbits like it did in Jeep. So.
Pretty much all barbed wire just equals explosion.
Well, there are big fans of explosions in the team, but I think that's not necessarily the way it's going to be fun.
No, not the plan.
Alright, so there's gonna be weather changes, like for it to get colder. Is that gonna affect like the zombies' speed or how they come at you? I mean, are they gonna be slower if it's cold? Like,
We do want that level of interaction.
We
We've
have
talked about
talked
this
about,
multiple
yeah.
times, right? Things like cold may be affecting their movement, and maybe wind direction affecting their sense of smell to lock onto you and such. You know, there's a lot of that stuff on our list.
is it gonna affect like the crops too? Like where you're stationed at or whatever?
It's a good question.
What do you mean, like you need the proper amount of soil, a type of soil or something?
Or
Like, does your corn
snows,
wither
is
or
all
something
your
when
stuff
you-
gonna die?
Oh, right. I was about to say, man, I start testing soil. Like, yeah.
That's something we haven't really talked too much about. I mean, it's kind of a topic that really takes a lot of balance because, you know, seasons take a really long time to come around. And if one thing you have to consider is when you're playing the game and you have to log in for a week in the middle of winter, is that really fun? You know, even the day-night cycle is kind of controversial for some people. People like to play during the daytime only or during the nighttime only, and having a quick one or a short one. You know, we talked about having locked 24 hours, you know, locked to your time zone. For some people, that's the fun thing. But if you only get off work at 5 o'clock and you have an hour to play and you always play at dusk, you know, that's kind of bad too. So having it set up so that there's variables for players is very important, and tuning that is very important too.
Yeah, some people might want to be farmers, right? And you know, there are those people. Right? They just want to farm and sell crops. So, you know, limiting them to not be able to grow their corn for a week would kind of suck.
Yeah. But it's hardcore.
It is.
Right. Hardcore.
Hardcore.
Hardcore. Ah, nice. I like it.
So before we were talking about, like you said, a game mode of being like a hardcore game mode. Now, are there going to be other sorts of game modes that you might think about? Like, for example, there was the COD like zombie where they all come at you from 50 different ways. You have to barricade up the wall and stuff. Are you guys going to add, since there might not be an end game? I don't know if that's the case too, but it's not a level based. So I don't think is it.
No, not level.
It's
No levels.
So there won't be necessarily an end game. So will you guys add other game modes to branch off of that?
I mean, the stuff that the Mitch has been putting in lately that adds the zombies perceivably based on where players are is a big part of that. I mean, that's actually what came up when we saw that. We're like, so I can have a mode where they just keep coming at me? Yeah, that sounds pretty fun, right? And that, you know, as far as an actual game mode, we haven't talked about specifically game modes. I mean, the thing I suggested was, you know, you can have the option of starting as a fully healthy guy or girl or whatever else is in the game, or you can say, you know, I want a challenge, start me with no health. That's a challenge that you can choose when you come into just a regular game. And we haven't decided how the rule sets are going to be broken up specifically yet.
Yeah, I mean, and we've once again talked about the different rule sets for players that will be able to vote on that sort of thing and have some servers available with those. So maybe one of them is the survival mode, like just a zombie overpopulation server. One of them is more PvP oriented and that sort of thing. But in the end, I mean, the basics of the game pretty much stay the same. Your movement and everything like that.
Yeah, and it's just an additional mode for fun, right? It could be a smaller area you just throw people into.
Yeah. I think we're coming up with just about 1 minute left. I think we have time for on this Q&A. I'm going to see any other quick questions before we jump out.
No, I'll wait till next time.
I gotcha. All right, very cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in for this second Q&A. I don't know what we're going into next. What are we doing next?
You're juggling with dishes on your...
I can't juggle.
Oh, okay.
Don't do that.
It's a boxing demo.
A boxing demo? No, who am I boxing?
Melee research.
Not the box.
Oh, fantastic. This is great. This is great.
Can anybody do the Running Man for us?
No, I can't. No, it's not going to happen.
Do it again.
Tony can do the Running Man?
Tony.
Tony, yeah, come on up.
Do we have any cardboard boxes, or you just get like a break dancer?
I'd be more than willing to watch. That's right. That's right. We still do need a server variable to flip to just put everyone into the Thriller dance or something.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. We've animated that multiple
If you see
times
it,
here at
it's
the
Jimmy's
company.
fault. I'm saying.
That's right.
Okay, we're gonna go to Mitch. Let me just tell him.
All right, cool. So it looks like are we still alive here? All right. All right, cool. Awesome. One of these days, next time we need earpiece.
Yes.
Yeah, we need it. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be talking to Mitch, I think, here in a little bit, getting more in depth with development, see what's going on throughout the day. We have been looking at, or we have been talking about the barricades. We really haven't shown much of the development of it just yet. So I would like at some point to check back in with the animators, for example. They weren't working on barricades, but they worked on a couple other things this morning and kind of show where they ended up by now. I think the Wolf may be a lot further along. If we end up getting the time, which we've got 6 hours, I think we have time.
How extensive is the crafting going to be?
Pretty extensive. I mean, it's
to the point where you're able to build not quite as extensively, say Landmark, but that same mentality of being able to build to that level, or
that's the goal. That's the plan. I mean, you want to be able to freeform build things. I mean,
Yeah, so if you're talking in terms of digging and things like that, not so much.
Right.
But yeah, as far as a recipe could be 6 components, each with 6 other components, it could tree off very quickly.
So could you build a house or a fortification?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the plan is for fortifications, but maybe not with the flexibility of the Landmark.
Yeah.
right.
I can't make my perfect arch.
That's right. I mean, yeah, I don't. Voxel, not a thing.
You can build or you can occupy. There's 2 different ways you can go, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Occupying is for those types that just don't want to deal with all the crafting.
That's me. I'm just gonna run around and kill people and yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the ONOD?
The ONOD.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have ONODs in this game? I mean, I feel like it has to be like a Sony.
The Omid thing, right?
What?
He smiles.
I'm totally lost.
None of you guys.
No, I have no idea.
Sorry.
Where he smiles and he's
Give
like,
us an O-nod right here.
Is that an ONOD?
Yeah.
All right. So
he smiles and looks at the camera, does the eyes, and he's like, yeah.
I mean, I follow the game. I've just never seen an ONOD.
I'm sure it doesn't have anything to do right now.
All right, cool. We ready?
Yeah, we
Awesome.
are ready.
Nice.
Can
So-
I grab that handheld from you?
So it looks like the stream's gonna go on another field trip here.
Field trip time. Magic mystery bus. Miss Fizzle. If you want to, oh, you're gonna follow me, Andre. Live streamers and fans. Let's go talk to Mitch. Mitch is waiting for us to show off his lovely zombies. Zombies. Cool. Well, everybody say hello to Mitch. Mitch, why don't you tell us a little bit about your position on the team, what you do, and how much you love zombies.
All right. I really love zombies. My name is Mitch Evans. I'm a senior programmer here at SOE. I've been here for about 7 or 8 years now, and I'm just really, really excited about H1Z1. We're having a whole lot of fun, and really hope people are going to enjoy what we're putting together.
Cool. So Mitch is a senior programmer here, and he told me that if you guys want to tweet H1Z1 design, hashtag H1Z1 design, and shoot me some questions, we'll answer them live on air. So Mitch, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, and maybe you can show us some visuals. Sure. Do you want to answer that really quick, and we'll come over here and talk? Let's see if he's good. Okay. Sweet. Cool. Okay. So
essentially, I write a lot of the back-end stuff that makes the gameplay happen. Artificial intelligence, different systems to keep things flowing to the players, like our constructible system that we're working on, and the destructible terrain object system that lets them light things on fire.
So I heard you're in charge of the horde of zombies.
I am in charge of the horde of zombies. I'm going to show you a small horde. I'm going to do things like turn off our trees and things so that you can see, them coming from a much further way off a little later.
I heard they're called speed trees.
They're called speed trees. They're speedy.
Okay. Cool. So can you pull up some stuff for us to take a look at?
I sure can.
In the meantime, so I've heard you talk a lot about zombies. What's your favorite zombie movie?
Probably it's a older one. It's the Omega Man. I really enjoy the fact that they have what amounts to a hive mind. They almost know.
Hence the horde, right?
Yes, hence the horde. And so what we have out here is we're already dying. So I'm gonna put myself in God mode so it doesn't kill me.
He's a cheater.
I am a cheater. We're hanging out in the forest, and just by the simple fact that we're in the forest and living, breathing, walking bag of meat, the zombies want to get us, and we're leaving a little dent in the world. We call it a heat map.
Can you make that fuller screen?
Yes, I can. And so the zombies nearby are attracted to events. Walking through the forest is an event. Sprinting through the forest is a bigger event. And sprinting through the forest with a lit torch is pretty interesting to the zombies. So essentially what they're doing is slowly meandering our direction. Since we're the only thing in my personal server, they're saying, ooh, I wonder what's over there, and is it edible? So let me get up here. And so if we slowly walk out in the forest, wouldn't be fair if they just came on you all of a sudden. So what we have is they're scattered out through the forest and they're slowly walking our way. And I think I see, there we go. One coming over the horizon at me. Two coming over the horizon at me.
I see a deer.
Oh, there, yeah, that was a deer. See the zombie chasing the deer?
So anything that moves, anything that has heat.
Anything that breathes, zombies want to eat.
Can you change the time of day?
Yes, I can. Sorry. So, one zombie there gave up. The other one's still chasing the deer up the hillside. And we're going to get close enough to, let's find ourselves a pack of zombies. Oh, there we go, behind me. I've told all these zombies to spawn on the hillside, and they're slowly wandering